Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi Project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives. Hello. Welcome back to the Yegi Project. Today we're going to talk about failure. It is such a big part of life and business, so I thought we'd dedicate an episode just to failure. So if you've recently gone through a failure and are at a low point, what do you do to deal with failure and move on? We'll cover it and go into step-by-step actionable steps that you guys can discover in order to get back on your feet and really thrive. So first things first, allow yourself to feel. It is absolutely okay to feel like life is over, everything sucks, you don't know what to do, you're lost, you're disappointed, you're upset, you're mad at the world, you don't even actually know who you're mad at yourself. It is so normal to have all these feelings, all these negative emotions when you feel like you failed. And a lot of us are sore losers by nature. Even if you may be great at, taking one for the team and being good at bouncing back in a lot of scenarios, but when you feel like you've personally failed or had a failure or something you did, like a big mistake led to a failure of a project, of a business, or anything, then it really could bring you down. And it is tricky. We want to run away. We want to shut down. We want to swear off what we're working on. We want to just call it quits. But before we even find our way back and be successful again or take on a new project, we need to go through these steps, okay? And the first thing is, like I said, is feel your feelings. Sit down and be okay with all these emotions. Give yourself some time to process and be upset. We are human. We have to literally feel the feelings in order to let them pass. If we suppress them, if we try to be strong and not allow us to really accept that failure and those feelings, it could really take a long time for us to even want to try something new, especially if it's a business failure or something new that you tried and you failed at. It's really discouraging to get up and try again. I fully understand, but this podcast is for you, is to give you reasonable action steps in order for you to get to a great place, in order to take on a new project, new business, or even work on something new on yourself. In previous episodes, we have talked about reframing our viewpoint. And in this case, instead of looking at our failure as a failure, we want to reframe it as a learning experience. So we want to literally sit down and analyze and see what happened, what went wrong that led to the failure, but we are reframing it. We're not calling it a failure anymore. We're calling it a learning experience. Now remember, the top successful people have failed thousands and thousands of times, even in different businesses, different ideas, before they got their break and they are able to succeed in a specific area. And I promise you, even our electricity light bulb, that story a lot of us have heard of, 1,000 failed attempts, but if that 1,001 time we didn't give it one last shot, we wouldn't be able to see what's on the other side to have that success. Again, I understand failure is so draining and it's so discouraging, but you are here today listening to this podcast, hopefully to gain momentum again. And we talked about it already. First step is acknowledge it, feel the feelings, give yourself time, and then the next step would be to really sit down and analyze to what happened and reframe your thinking. You did not, you actually are above average to even try something new and fail. And now we're going to take everything that we have learned from this failure and apply it to our next thing. Honestly, unless we fail, we do not learn and we do not grow. grow and we do not see what we need to work on. It may be a skill that we can point out that we're missing. For example, a specific skill, marketing skills or people skills in order to network if that's what was needed for your project, your business, or whatever that failed. So look at it as a learning experience. Discover how you can improve in order to avoid the same failure, and then we're gonna find actionable steps to move on. But in this stage, you're not really taking any specific action. You're still just analyzing, you're reflecting, and you're reframing your thoughts about failure to learning experience. Another good thing to do in this beginning stage of failure is you want to focus on your strengths. Now, we all need wins, okay? We need wins to encourage us, to keep us going, to do baby steps. So focus on your strengths. Even though you failed, you want to sit down, think about, write, ask a friend, a parent to remind you all the good things that you've accomplished and all the strengths that you do have that makes you desirable for you to be able to succeed again in the future. It is very difficult to have a big failure and focus on that. So we want to switch our focus into our strengths. Again, this is the beginning stage of failure to try to get back into those positive emotions in order for us to even tackle on a new project or retry this failed business if that's what it is, or retry this failed project within a company if that's what it is. But we may need to take a different approach now. But I won't get ahead of myself. So again, beginning stages, we are giving ourselves time. We are accepting the failure. We are taking the time to feel all the emotions, and we are reframing into from failure to what we learned. And then we're focusing on our strengths. So this is all kind of stage one, what you need to do in order to move on from a big failure. Now, we talked about actually processing the feelings and feeling them out. A good exercise, a very actionable step would be is journaling, okay? If you're not a big writer, you can type, but getting pen and paper, I found is the best way to almost vent to yourself and feel better about whatever's going on. And a lot of times when we start writing things down, it does seem way better than it is when it's in our head. When there's too much thoughts and feelings cluttering our judgment and our thought process, everything really does seem worse. So this is your first easiest actionable step. Nobody's ever going to see this. You can just pour your heart out, grab the pen and paper and start writing down what you're feeling. What is this anger, frustration, disappointment, all these feelings that you're feeling after a failure? Just go at it. Just write everything down. It doesn't even have to make sense. So whatever is bothering you, and you may even need to do this daily for a month or 2 months or 3 months, depending on how bad you're taking this failure. And remember, you're not alone. A lot of people go through this. We just need to learn from it and be able to move on. But these are the tools that you need to almost force yourself into taking these action steps in order to be able to come out on the other side. So we also touched upon kind of trying to figure out what went wrong and take it as a learning experience. But this second action step that you actually have to do is literally try to approach it in an objective way. So then you can get out of your head from the emotional side and you are approaching it more strategically and more of an actionable step for a business, right? Especially when we're entrepreneurs and this is our business or our project that we've failed at, it is very personal. Do take things a lot more emotionally. But instead of that, we want to almost step back and look into the failure from an outside point of view and analyze it in order to see what action steps we can take to either have avoided that failure or build back from that failure, right? What can we do now? Anytime we focus on taking action, it takes away from us being in our heads, in our emotions, and we are being solution focused instead of emotional focused. But like I said, first we need to feel all the emotions, let it out there, be sad, mad, angry, whatever you need to be. And then we need to make the actionable steps of what's next. Now, we may also feel very discouraged in order to even want to work on this business again, or a new business idea, or a new project. But the way to get through that is take tiny actionable steps. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Even if it's just doing 15-minute research on a new industry that's hot that may be right for you. Or if you did learn what mistake you made, we suck it up and we literally try again, right? But those tiny, tiny steps initially that you need to take, you need to break it down and make it super duper easy to use it as a stepping stone for you to want to do more towards kind of that new goal or new project. Now, the next thing we want to do is we also want to seek support and feedback. Now, I highly recommend not talking to friends and family unless in the past, they are an expert in the subject matter that you feel that, and they can really give you kind of a disconnected, strategic, professional guidance towards it. I would highly recommend hiring a coach that can get you through this failure. It might be a little bit costly, a little bit time consuming, but in the long run, it's really going to help you get the feedback that you need in order to move on. They can help you analyze if it's a business or a project, what went wrong and how you can move on from it. They can give you new strategies. It could be somebody that's an expert in your area and give you kind of new ideas of how to approach in order not to fail and all that good stuff. So that's what I would do. And of course, if you need to vent and talk, it's great if you have a support system, friends and family that can kind of pep talk you and encourage you, but a lot of times from my experience that is not as effective as hiring somebody and really focusing with the coach in order to get to your next step. And one other thing, the reason why you do want to hire a coach or somebody who knows your industry and get good feedback is because a lot of times we may be blinded. Getting constructive criticism is so crucial in order for us to make adjustments in order to do better in whatever we're doing. We may not see things just because our attachment to it is different compared to an outside person's viewpoint. And you've heard it, 2 brains are better than 1, and it is absolutely true. If I didn't have good teammates, good support, I would have no idea in how to accomplish certain things because we get stuck in the way we think and we get stuck in our ways because that's just what we know. And unless somebody makes us aware and opens up our eyes about what else it could be, a different approach, a different cost strategy, right? Then we just don't know and then we get stuck. So it's really good to seek outside help, even if you feel like you know everything you need to know and you got this, right? Because we really don't know everything. We don't know what we don't know. And so here's a couple of things you can also do in order to just work on being at a better mental state in order to be successful is we want to visualize success again. You want to meditate, you want to work out, you want to do something random and fun that's just going to put you in a good, happy place. Then you can go back and focus on your actionable step. I think that's really important. Sometimes the prep work, even if it's 3 hours in the morning to get you in that right state of mind, if it's the working out, the meditation, the running, the food that you really enjoy, or that fun activity that you could do, or playing with your kids, bonding with your pet and going on a walk, whatever it may be, that's going to help get you to the right mindset. Listening to the podcast that encourages you, right? It's worth it, even if it takes 3 hours to get you to the right mindset, so then you can focus on your actionable plan. And when we're at a low point and we don't have that initial motivation and we wake up and we know what we want to do, come on, I'm going to be real. After a failure, we do not feel like that. We try to procrastinate as much as we can. So it's crucial for us to do things for ourselves to get into that happy place. And it could vary for each person. So then we can be more successful taking action. Even if it's 15 minutes a day of something that you're working towards, again, it's really going to help. right? Baby steps. And then celebrate. Yay, you did it. You spent this 15 minutes research. You sent out this 2 emails. You reached out to 3 people, whatever it may be that can help you get over the failure and take the next step in order to succeed is really, really going to encourage you to keep going. And like I said, I fully get it. Baby steps is the way to go, and taking time and celebrating and being compassionate with yourself, being understanding, at least you tried. Even if you failed, at least you tried. A lot of people get stuck at doing things that they totally hate because they're afraid of trying and they're afraid of failure. But now you're here above so many people. Even if you failed, you are in the right direction. Every single successful person I know, I've researched, they failed many, many times. So you are on the right path. Now, what have you learned, and what can we take away from what you learned and make it into a detailed, actionable plan? So this is your last step. This is a very important step. We want to really take the time and almost kind of like redoing a business plan, a life plan, an overlook on whatever we want our next project or business to be, and really breaking it down. Now, it may feel overwhelming. Like I said, you may want to do this with a coach, or you may want to take your time and do baby steps. Okay, so focus on the first 3 things that you can do, and then once you accomplish that, then it'll be the next 3 things. But you'll be surprised as you get going, more and more ideas are gonna flow, and more you're gonna start to be into what you're doing and get over that feeling of failure. But you're going to have that strength to be like, okay, well, I did this, I failed, but I'm getting back up. It almost makes you feel stronger and better that you are here today trying again. And I promise you, you got this. If you are a person who's listening to this podcast, you are one who wants to find their way back. So I believe in you. You need to believe in you and take baby steps in order to get to where you need to get. And of course, seek out help. We even give a lot of personalized help one-on-one without any commitment. So seek out people who are in your community that are willing to help. Ask for advice, send us an email, have a community on Facebook groups, on different platforms that are people supporting each other. You'd be surprised how many free resources are out there in order to help you. In your community, in your local area, search business seminars, search support groups for entrepreneurs. All of that could really be a stepping stone in order for you to get to where you need to get. Some final thoughts. Again, this is a great way of being. It comes natural to some people, but a lot of us need to work on ourselves to get there. But we want to forget about the past, forget about the failure, and focus on the future. That's the goal. Whatever has already happened, you cannot change it. It is what it is. We gotta accept it and we gotta move on. But what can you do today in order to have a different future, or to really be in the present today? Just focus on what can you do today at this moment. Don't even worry about tomorrow, actually, when you're initially starting. Just do one thing at a time and really, really, really forget about the past. We cannot change it. Don't stress about it. Don't beat yourself up about it. You're not the worst. You're not horrible. You're not a disappointment. Don't wish you could have done something different. Whatever has happened for a reason, and we are learning from that in order to move on. And down the line in the future, I know it. I've been living by this. You'll look back and be like, oh, that's the reason that thing happened, because even the universe was trying to push you towards a different direction. Maybe you need to pivot, right? Maybe you needed this and you don't even know you needed this failure. That's the best way I can put it. And if you have that outlook on life, you are just going to take things a lot more lightly and be able to move on and move forward. So that's kind of what I do, honestly. If something doesn't go my way, I say, okay, well, this is meant to happen. I don't know why yet, but I'll figure it out in the future. But this is meant to happen to lead me to my next thing, or to work on myself and work on my strengths. So as an entrepreneur, I recognize that I don't have the best like networking skills. I don't pay attention to that, and I don't try to stay in touch with people that could maybe be really good business partners for me. But that's something I can work on, right? So it's kind of exciting to figure out your weaknesses and what you can work on in order for you to grow as an entrepreneur as well. So with that said, honestly, this can apply in any failed circumstances. Now, we will do a different episode for failed relationships, but it is pretty similar. We basically want to take time and accept it, reflect about it, and then move on by taking action to focus on the next thing. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you got that little encouragement or those little ideas of what you can do in order to overcome failure and start over. Until next time. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.